You have this uncanny ability to sort of preempt the flow of my questions, because the next question I was just about to ask was about your take on the singularity as a concept, and perhaps you could elaborate even a little more on Ray Kurzweil's specific take on the singularity as sort of the most popular mainstream singularitarian.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, I have to say that uh, I accept the idea of the singularity as it was initially intended by Werner Vinge, uh, which is, some people will say, well, it's going to be a nanotechnology, a nano singularity, not an AI singularity. Or I know of somebody who I interviewed for my upcoming website who says it's going to be a social singularity, that, kind of a Borg-like ultimate place of arrival, that our social connections have been increasing at a actually faster than Moore's law. So there'll be a social singularity. But I accept that it's artificial intelligence is what we're talking about when we talk about the singularity. And as someone who's not an expert in that area, I accept that I can't really make meaningful predictions or say whether this is these views there, or whether this will happen or not. But I mean, I'm intrigued by it. I certainly enjoyed reading Kurzweil's version of it, and it seems like the doubling of information processing is continuing apace. So I'm intrigued by it. I think it's
But how likely?
a fairly hopeful scenario.
How likely do you think that, in your view, that something like that could materialize in the next several decades, as Kurzweil has predicted, or
I
ever
can,
for that
yeah,
purpose?
yeah, I can only go by my own intuition, uh, and that intuition is that it probably will happen, and probably take longer than uh, optimists expect. I have this slogan that I adopted during the Mondo 2000 days, after dealing with very optimistic predictions by people like Timothy Leary and Arthur C. Clarke, where I said everything takes twice as long as you expect it to after you've already taken that into account.
Okay, so in that case, what do you think is our chance to survive any such potential technological singularity as a species, humanity in general, that is?
It's an interesting question. For a long time, I thought that people who were paranoid, if you will, about the bots coming and sort of killing us off, or winding up having an unpleasant response to us, I didn't feel realistic to me. I can only comment on this on the basis of intuition, but it felt to me as if in this process of evolving uh, forward-looking technologies that help us to survive and live well, and to find new ways of gathering resources without doing too much damage to the home planet, that these things would resolve themselves. But I do think now um, that another intelligence that might exist outside ourselves, if they find themselves stuck on Earth, which is another question. They may not find themselves stuck on Earth. They find themselves stuck on Earth. They might look at us and say, "You guys are just too toxic. We're not going to be able to survive with you guys around. Answering your needs and desires." Um, so,
So
now at least
what do you think is the chance of that happening? Mathematically
you
speaking, like
know
more than 50%, less than 50?
I think it's less than 50%, because I think that probably by the time we get this dramatic event in artificial intelligence. We will also have figured out how to utilize molecular technology, and we'll have we'll have figured out how to gather natural energy, and we'll have figured out how to have the get our resources without continuing to ravage the home planet. And we may also have figured out how to start moving people out off of planet Earth. So I think that it's relatively small and really depends on the timing of a lot of developments and what happens first.
We're approaching the end of our interview today, so I'd like to ask you the two traditional questions that I ask of all my guests. First of all, what is the best place that our viewers and listeners can go and find more information about yourself and the work that you do?
Well, I mean, right now I don't have a personal website, so I can't really recommend anything more than going on Google and putting in R period, U period, SIRIUS, and ignore the guy who answers questions on Huffington Post. That's not me. That's some other person posing as "Are you serious?"
An imposter.
You can find out. Yeah, an imposter. Exactly. There are a few of them around. I guess I have no more entitlement to own my name than Bob Jones or whomever. But you can find a lot of my more recent writing at H Plus Magazine, hplusmagazine.com. There's a site called 10 Zen Monkeys, which is the numeral 10 ZN that has a lot of fairly recent stuff by me. There's a Wikipedia page about me, which is generally accurate, although there's a lot of people questioning whether I actually exist on there or whatever. Of course, there's no proof. But that's about all I can offer right now. I don't have people can send me email if they're interested in communicating with me personally, and I would prefer if that comes to the address Sirioso, SIRIOSO @yahoo.com.
Excellent. And if there's one message, a single message that you would like our listeners and viewers to take away from this interview with you, what would you like it to be?
I'm afraid Max Moore already stole my message. Question everything, absolutely. Question everything, every day.
Absolutely, then. Would you like to elaborate a little more on that, or?
Well, I have an article right now on H Plus Magazine, which, if I recall correctly, is Question the Authority of Your Brain. And I think it is a fundamental question that some people seem to find banal, and I find completely poignant and important, which is the equipment that we have to understand the world and reality is just our brain, and to some extent our body and the environment and the cultural heritage that within which it exists, and the tools of measurement that we've invented. And it's presumed that this brain and this equipment is a biological accident. It may or may not be. So that everything that we understand and everything that we measure by using our brain is only as good as the quality of the hardware and software that nature, if you will, has allowed us to grow into.
That's fascinating. So on this note, I would like to thank Are You Sirius for taking his time to be here with us today on Singularity One-on-One. Thank you, Are You.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.